Hi, you're listening to the Business Essentials Daily Summer Series, the best episodes of 2022. Today's episode is brought to you by Mazars. SoundCartel. Google Analytics. For some, it's a godsend. For others, it seems like a scary beast. But to monitor your digital marketing activity and spend, knowing where your customers are coming from, what they want and who they really are, then implementing and understanding Google Analytics is a must. From SoundCartel, I'm Nicole Goodman, and this is Business Essentials Daily. Answering these questions for a lot of businesses can be guesswork, assumptions that direct the activity and promotion of your business, which might be completely incorrect. Leigh Hanney is an SEO and analytics specialist and founder of DataCraft Digital. Google Analytics is the cornerstone of the work that he does, allowing him to deliver the granular information you need to make smart business decisions that can see real results. In this interview, Leigh breaks down 5 ways business owners can get the most out of Google Analytics. And to start, he explains to me exactly what Google Analytics is.
Fundamentally, it's website usage data or behavioural data, so what a person is doing when they actually arrive at your website. So how many pages they're visiting, what country or city they're accessing from, and also specifically from a marketing perspective, what channel have they come from, be it paid search, organic search, Facebook or social. That's at the high level. So you see what people are doing.
Integrate a marketing strategy. How do you think this rounds out that kind of 360-degree approach?
It gives visibility on how the business is performing, more how the marketing channels are performing. So especially if you're running a campaign, you need to know, is that campaign driving actions that you're after? And if those actions are happening on the website, then something like Google Analytics provides that data, be it an increase in sessions or an increase in leads or sales.
Well, we know that Google Analytics is an incredibly powerful tool and it's free. But I do want to start with a couple of basic terms, and you've just mentioned one there, because they can initially be confusing. So terms like users, visitors and sessions. Can you explain what constitutes each?
Sure. And look, it is confusing and the industry keeps changing definitions as well, which doesn't help. But look, a user, if you correlate that to a person, it's a best guess around a unique individual that's come to your website. And they track that based on like the browser that's accessing the site and what they call a cookie, which identifies the browser. A session then is the number of times that user comes back to the website. So you may have one user visiting the site twice in a day. That would be 2 sessions. Something like visitors is an interesting one because some people use that interchangeably between either a user or a session. Like someone visited the website. So depends on the context often when visitor is used. If someone says unique visitor, they're probably referring to a user. If someone says how many visits, they might be thinking more about how many sessions to the site. A good way to look at it is if a customer walks into your shop or your office, that's a user, that's one user. But if they come back a couple of times, that's 2 sessions.
Well, for small to medium business owners who want to investigate Google Analytics, you have 5 ways that they can get the most out of it. And the first is to create a measurement plan for your business.
Now, look, it sounds daunting. It's essentially articulating to yourself or writing down what it is you're trying to measure for the website. What's the purpose and what is the primary goal for the website? And that could be a sale or a lead or a phone call or an inquiry. And then followed by maybe what are secondary goals? What else do you want people to do when they're there? It could be downloading a brochure, viewing content. That forms the basis of your thinking around what you're trying to measure and what's going to drive success for the business. But without a plan, sometimes in the end, it's just a report that doesn't really help you grow. And probably the key there too is out of the box, Google Analytics, it's not customized. So the measurement plan and the thinking there help you customize it to what you need to know.
Mm-hmm. Well, your second tip is to use filters to get a clean view of the data. What do you mean by this?
A filter cuts down the clutter in terms of the data that's coming through. Now, a common example would be you might use a filter, an IP filter, to actually exclude internal visits, so your own office or your own store. So you could filter that out to say, we're only seeing activity from our customers or potential customers. Keeps a nice, clean view of what's going on. Another example, as you grow a bit bigger, if you have a development environment, if you're a slightly larger business, then you can filter out sort of the development servers or the developers themselves, so you're not mixing sort of staging traffic with production traffic. And more filters can come into play as you grow or as a site gets bigger potentially.
Well, creating goals is your third tip, and you mentioned this just before, but can you expand on the kinds of goals that you're able to set up?
For sure. And this is where the measurement plan, I guess, goes into that implementation mode. So e-commerce business, for instance, so even a small online business, your primary goal would be a transaction. So you want to measure that transaction in analytics so you can capture revenue, etc. But secondary goals, you'll have things like a newsletter sign up or a contact us inquiry, all the things the actions that you would like people or expect people to be taking on their journey to purchasing from you. A B2B business, for instance, might be just focusing on inquiry, submits and contact us. But it's configuring those in Google Analytics then allows that to be tracked against the users and also the traffic source as well. So you might see how many inquiries came from a paid search or a paid social campaign and can track that in one place.
Well, your fourth way is to make use of segmentation to better understand your site visitors. What advantage or oversight does this provide businesses?
Yep, good question. So the segmentation side of things is, again, thinking about the audience. So what type of visitor are you expecting to come through? And you might have a hypothesis around how they might behave differently. So one way I like to look at segmentation is thinking of new users versus returning users, because then you can get a view of how well a new user is performing in terms of doing the actions you expect versus returning users, which may be existing customers. Other segments could just traffic source as well. So analyze traffic coming from paid social as a segment versus traffic coming from something like organic search. And you can gain insights then, what are the differences in terms of that behaviour? Are they viewing more content for a different channel? Because that feeds back into analysing and insights around marketing channels as well. And another key one is the actual device. Very important these days because there's distinct behaviour differences between somebody who might be browsing a website on mobile versus desktop. And some of that can be UX or paid design. Others can just be the time of day that they might be more likely to be on a mobile phone. And it depends on the industry and your demographic as to the split between desktop and mobile, but it can be very interesting to look at those differences when you're analysing at a sort of a segment level.
And tip 5, Leigh, is to employ tracking tags on all paid marketing activity. What are tracking tags?
Essentially, it's saying that when you're buying traffic, Facebook, Google ads, banner ads, whatever it might be, you can add in some extra little bits of information to the URL, and that then sends through to Google Analytics and actually tells Analytics where that traffic came from, like campaign, the source and medium. So it could be Facebook, paid social, campaign, could be Boxing Day sale. And that then allows you to analyse that traffic as a campaign within Analytics, which is really powerful. And there are some tools like campaign tracking tool that actually Google provide. You can plug in a few things like campaign name and it'll spit it out for you. Facebook ads actually has a builder where you can just fill in a few areas as well and create your tracking tag. So I'd just say spend some time to actually have a look at those things when you're in the tools and start to build them out.
That was Leigh Hanney, founder of DataCraft Digital. Business Essentials Daily is a SoundCartel podcast. Producers are Nick Schildberger, Chris Ashmore, Jeff Waters and myself. Technical production by Pete Letts. I'm Nicole Goodman. Thanks for listening. We'll bring you more Be Daily next week. SoundCartel. This episode was brought to you by Mazars. To find out more, visit mazars.com.au. That's mazars.com.au.